The member from Carver, Representative Kohls.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. My first session here in the Minnesota House of Representatives, it used to drive me absolutely crazy when we brought budget bills forward, and sitting where the majority leader sits now, former Representative Matt Intenza would stand up and say it's a sad day in Minnesota. It used to drive me crazy because, from my perspective as a freshman legislator, I didn't feel as though the minority at that time was doing anything other than criticizing, was doing anything to come forward with solutions. And so time and time again, former Representative Intenza would stand up and say, it's a sad day in Minnesota, and I would bristle. But members, I tell you that today, what's happening here on the floor of the House of Representatives right now makes it a sad day in Minnesota. What the majority is doing by coming forward with this attempt to override Governor Pawlenty's veto is giving up on the poor, is giving up on the people who rely on this program. What you're doing, members, is you're giving up on negotiations. You're giving up on the hard work that Representative Murphy, Representative Dean, Representative Huntley, and others have been engaged in for the last many months. There is nothing magical about today. But what you are doing here on the floor right now makes it a sad day here in Minnesota. Shame on you, shame on us for putting politics ahead of getting this done. It drove me crazy when Representative Intenza stood up and said that, because I felt as though the other side wasn't offering any alternative. But you know what? I know that Representative Murphy will absolutely agree with me that Representative Dean and others have been at the table trying to come up with a solution, working incredibly hard over the last not just days, but weeks and months. You know, members, I voted against this supposed fix of general assistance medical care when it was up here on the floor a week or so ago. I didn't vote against it because I don't believe that we need to find a way to provide health care coverage for these individuals. I absolutely agree with that. My concern then and my concern now is that we have a massive budget deficit. We all know it. It's $1.2 billion, give or take. We'll find out what the forecast tells us tomorrow. And we cannot solve these issues without understanding the implications on the budget. And Representative Murphy, members, there is nothing magical about today other than it really appears to this member as though we have one side playing politics and bringing an end to negotiations, suggesting that if we don't override today, that's it, it's done, we're over. Well, guess what? The override isn't going to happen. It's not going to happen. And I really, truly hope, Representative Murphy, that your comments about this being the end, that it's over, are not true. Because we need to find a solution. Republicans have been offering suggestions, have been sitting at the table, have been trying to help find a solution, and Democrats have been too. But what the Democrats are doing here today by trying to override Governor Pawlenty is we're sticking it to him. We're going to put a stick in his eye. Right in the middle of negotiations. We don't need to be done, Representative Murphy. I got to be honest, I've never seen somebody hand out a sheet that details the negotiations that have been happening like this before. I question whether that was a good idea or not, but that's neither here nor there. But what's clear, if you look at the sheet, members, the negotiations are happening. So why in the world would we bring up this veto override? It's not going to pass. You know that. The only reason you're doing it is for politics. It's a sad day in Minnesota.